Here we are once again. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk as usual. And I'm glad that you're all here. If you're here for the first time, please know that you're welcome and drop something in the comments so I'll know that you're there. We do this every Friday night Eastern Time in the United States. I know where Renz is. It's already tomorrow morning, and he's on his way to work, most likely. But as usual, let's see. Eleanor was in here first, wishing everybody a fabulous weekend. And then Renz came in. Now, usually that means he hasn't gone to work yet. It's tomorrow morning. It's Saturday morning there. So he might be on his way to work. I'm not sure yet. And then Miss E dropped in on us, and she's having an excited tech evening because she just got herself a brand new piece of tech. So glad that you're all here. If anybody else is here, please let me know. And just so you know, as always, I'm going to share my screen and show you where you can see the show notes. That's on my website. Let me get my stuff out of the way first. Okay, so if you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, click on the first story with tonight's date, and you will see the show notes, and you can follow along right there. So let me put my stuff back the way it was. Okay, stop screen for a minute. Go back to the comments, see if anybody else said anything. Okay, so as usual, I've invited Mike and Will and Ted and Mark. Mark is the one. I'm always surprised that he makes it because he's in California. Of course, it's only 5 o'clock there. But Mike did do a blog today from his car, and so he's getting back on the stick, and we're very glad about that. Not sure if Will's going to join us. I think Will has started his new job, and he works, 2 days in a row, solid all weekend long. So not sure when the guys can join or who will join, but just know that I have invited them, and if I see them pop in, I'll certainly let you guys know. So let's start with tonight's stories. This was not an exciting week for tech. Even Jaime Rivera said it again on Pocket Now. So back to sharing my screen. I'm going to go down to the first story. And this story was all over the place, and it's kind of a serious story, so I thought I'd start with it. A 12-year-old sustains permanent ear damage from AirPods Pro. Parents sue Apple. So this one I took off Engadget, but you could find this story anywhere. Apple faces AirPods lawsuit after an Amber Alert, and that's what caused it. The Amber Alert allegedly caused hearing damage. The suit claims the volume spike led to a boy needing a hearing aid for the rest of his life. So that's pretty serious stuff. So let's see if I can put this in reader view. Okay, get rid of some of the ads. So, a lawsuit has been filed against Apple alleging that a boy suffered hearing damage when using his AirPods Pro. A couple from Texas filed the suit, NBC News reports. According to the suit, their then 12-year-old son, referred to as BG, was using AirPods to watch something on his iPhone at a low volume when he received an Amber Alert, and we all know how those come in. The alert went off suddenly and without warning, which is what they always do, at a volume that tore apart BG's eardrum, damaged his cochlea, and caused significant injuries, the suit said. The boy's parents say he suffered from dizziness, vertigo, nausea, and tinnitus, which I get occasionally, following the incident in 2020, and that he'll need to wear a hearing aid for the rest of his life. That's pretty rough at 12 years old. They claim AirPods don't automatically reduce, control, limit, or increment notification or alert volumes to a safe level that causes them to emit, and that Apple doesn't provide instructions to limit the volume of alerts to prevent hearing damage. And I can see that's a valid point. The couple argues that Apple hasn't fixed the problem, and if it wasn't aware of the issue, it should have known. Other Apple users have complained about AirPod volume spikes on the company support website, and Gadget has contacted Apple for comment. So, 12-year-old kid wearing a hearing aid for the rest of his life. And yeah, maybe it's not Apple's fault about the alerts, but I kind of agree with them that the companies making these earbuds should program in something to automatically bring it down. Everything works in nanoseconds, so sure it wouldn't be a big deal, but I think they've got a valid point there, especially if he's going to be wearing that hearing aid for the rest of his life. So that was a pretty big story, and I haven't seen any response from Apple, but I would kind of have to assume those people are going to automatically win that case. Let's see, Will is in here. I'm sure he has been listening to music way too loud prior to this. Yeah, but it says in the article that he was listening at a low volume. Specifically says that. I'm guessing they can prove that, or maybe the father and mother's testimony is all they need. But we've all had Amber Alerts go off, and we know how loud they can be. So if you had your earbuds in, I could see where that might hurt your ears. And I think, Apple and Samsung and everybody else should be programming to automatically cut that down. Let's see, what is Miss E saying here? That explains why my former iPhone kept nagging me about the volume when outside using the pods. Yeah, and they'll all, as far as I know, all the good ones anyway, will give you notifications to tell you you're using them too loud. But if you're just sitting there and an Amber Alert goes off, you don't have time to really do anything. You don't expect it. You never know it's coming. So it kind of makes sense. Bill says, loud spike in volume. You take out the AirPod in 1 second. Yes, but the Amber Alert, since it comes so fast, by the time you grab it, it's already hit your ears. There's nothing you can do about it. It's way too fast, and it's really, really loud. I'm glad I never had my earbuds in when one went off. Always one of the first things I do with any phone I get is turn off those alerts, because I know I don't want to hear it. And I certainly wouldn't want to hear it with earbuds in. Eleanor says, hi. I hope you have time to come in, Will. Let's see, what else is Will saying here? Of course, they will say that. If I'm his lawyer, I would say that too. Yeah, but Will, you can't assume people are lying. Maybe they're telling the truth. Maybe they've taught him not to listen at a high level. I just wouldn't automatically assume they were lying. That's all. So anyway, pretty serious stuff. I would hope they win that. I would hope all the companies, if they haven't already programmed for Amber Alerts, I would hope this will make them all do it. And if it does, then I think everybody benefits. So that's just my opinion. So stop the screen. Of course, Will, I wish you'd come in and talk about it. That way you could argue with me, as you always do, which everybody, of course, looks forward to. So, all right. Let me go back to the next story. Let's share screen again. And we'll move on down to my second story. The first three stories all have to do with iPhones or Apple. So the next one, this is the big rumor of the week. Brace yourselves, USB-C. You can see it's an iPhone 14 Pro. I don't think it's going to be on the 14 Pro, but let's read the story and find out. But this is all because of the EU putting pressure on everybody to make a standard USB-C all through the EU. So this story is on Apple Insider. Apple testing USB-C iPhones and new dongles ahead of EU mandate. So this is a mandate that's coming down from the EU. Hasn't come in yet, but it's supposed to be coming very soon. And this was by William Gallagher, and it was posted 5 days ago. So let's go into reader view, get rid of these ads, or some of the ads. Okay. A new report claims that Apple is currently testing both USB-C adapters and the USB-C iPhone, though neither is expected before 2023. And that's the thing. We're not going to see this in the iPhone 14. The anticipated 2023 date backs up recent claims from analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, and he's usually right when he comes up with stuff, that it will be that year's iPhone 15 that will switch from Lightning to USB-C. Kuo claimed to have information from the supply chain. Bloomberg now cites only unspecified people with knowledge of the situation. It's possible then that these are the same sources, but Bloomberg's have added the possibility of adapters. Such USB-C adapters would presumably work with existing Lightning-based iPhones, which could mean that Apple is aiming to get ahead of expected European Union requirements. The EU is currently planning legislation that would mean all smartphones sold in Europe would have to use USB-C chargers. With new iPhones using the standard and older ones able to get an adapter, all of Apple's portable devices would be able to use USB-C. Adapters are how Apple worked around the micro USB mandate. That micro USB charger mandate will be replaced by the USB-C one after only 8 years. Well, it's a smart thing for Apple to do, in my opinion. The convenience of having fewer cables to carry is one benefit of USB-C, and an engineer has previously adapted both his iPhone and AirPods charging case to the standard for exactly that reason. Get this, he then subsequently sold his USB-C iPhone for $86,000. That's heavy, heavy duty. Oh, all right. Will is in here.
What's up, George? What's up?
Glad you came in, even though you right away assume people are lying about everything.
George, listen, George. Go
ahead.
I can't even stay long, George. Listen.
Okay.
You were in a band, right, George?
Yeah, I was in a lot of bands, yeah.
You're older than that young boy, right?
Right.
You've heard a lot of loud sounds.
And I have no problems with my ears, which is pretty amazing.
You are not using a hearing aid. That boy must have sat there and said, let's listen to the Amber Alert for a couple days. Come on now, George.
I know. I totally disagree.
George,
because
there's
the way Amber Alerts come in, they're so sudden. Even if you took it out in 1 second, it would be too late, is my guess.
George, it's not going to be too late. Because I've had Amber Alerts go off in my ear, and you hear.
I've never had one go off in my ear. The idea scares the heck out of me.
It's like saying you left your hand on the stove when it was on. You hear the sound, you're gonna rip it out your ear.
That's true, but my point is, your ear has already gotten that sound. The loudness has already. Yes, you might get it out in a second or two, but in this case, I think it was just too late.
George, he's probably gonna win, but there's no way that one sound for
I
that
totally disagree with you. As
1
loud
second,
as Amber Alerts are, it would scare
not
me to have it
destroy
in
that
my
boy's
ear when it
ear.
went off.
By fighter, people, yeah, you would be scared, but people have walked by airplanes and all kind of crazy noises, and they're not walking around with hearing aids for the rest of their life.
I
That boy gets
understand
something
that,
else
but
in his
this was
ear.
in his ear.
Now you're gonna make me.
I can totally
You're gonna
see.
make me follow the whole lawsuit. I'm gonna follow it.
Yes,
Now.
you're gonna have
now
to.
I gotta
Yes.
follow it to see what happens. Because this
Yeah,
is some
and I
nonsense.
will too.
That's
and
nonsense.
I will too.
I don't care if it was Apple, Samsung, whoever it was. There's no way you're just gonna leave something in your ear long enough to do permanent damage.
Oh, and I forgot to recognize Brian. Brian, I'm glad you're here, and I know you're driving.
And I think that I know it's not gonna win for Apple, but I think the earbuds do say something like listening to things at loud volume.
And they all do that, and they all encourage you to turn it down when you turn it too loud. I'll give you that. Missy says, in this corner, Mobile Geezer, in that corner, Will, ready to rumble. I guess I should say, ready to rumble.
That's the most nonsense story I ever heard. And the boy is 12 years old, and he was just listening to stuff at a low conservative volume for the whole time.
Maybe they try. I don't know. He could have been listening loud. He might be right, but I'm not going to assume they're lying. That's all. Wait, let me see what Eleanor says. Unless the child had a pre-existing problem, which is possible, I think Will has a point. She agrees with you. You know how kids play around. They don't think anything can happen to them, so there's always that possibility. And yes, that is true. I'm just not going to assume they were lying. That's all.
I am. Okay. I'm assuming he's lying. I mean, they'll probably get a whole bunch of money, but there's no way that one sound killed his ear, because I wouldn't be able to hear nothing.
I find it amazing that you're telling me that you've had Amber Alerts go off while you had earbuds in it. I would think
I've had earbuds because I wear my earbuds almost 24/7.
And you've had an Amber Alert when you wore them.
Yeah, and as much as I've switched phones, when you switch from phone to phone, you got to turn them off, and I forget because it's in different spots on a Pixel versus on a iPhone.
I've never had it go off in my ear, but as loud as it is just on the phone, that scares the heck out of me, and I can easily see it breaking my eardrum.
I don't leave it in my ear though. If you hear something that even if something comes on loud, I take it out my ear. So
I agree, but I think it's already gotten to the eardrum by that time.
Maybe he was asleep with the AirPod in.
That could be. That could very well be.
And that's his fault. That's his fault. But we'll never know because the family's never going to say that because you can't prove it. So they're just going to say
you're not allowed to go to sleep with earbuds. I go to sleep with an earbud in every single night right now.
But you, but
right
you would
now
never
I
win
do that.
You wouldn't win a lawsuit. But what I'm saying is his family's not going to say that. They're going to tell you he was conservatively listening to something quietly because the lawyer is thinking about his pocket.
Yeah, you're probably
like he's supposed to do. That's crazy. You can sue for anything. That is crazy.
You are more jaded than I am, which I find amazing.
Put out an Amber Alert so I can get paid. My earbud is in. I'm about to get paid. 38-year-old man sues Apple following. I'm about to hop on that guy's back and get paid.
I'm a pretty distrustful old man, but you're worse than me. Okay,
that story just
but you're right. We both have to keep following this lawsuit and see where it goes.
You see my nickname today because that right there made me more distrustful with what we was talking about earlier. That was crazy too. That's unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. I was telling Eleanor about it earlier too. And Mike is the one who originally told me about it.
It popped up on my timeline and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
That's
and because everybody was shocked. We all tech dad is this nice, pleasant guy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh well. What's the next story, George?
Wait. Eleanor says, if a woman can sue McDonald's because coffee was hot when she drank it, need I say more? And she's got a point. She's got a point because that lady did win.
I think me and George talked about this before, didn't we? I talked about this with somebody. And what they said, the coffee thing, they said that the coffee was too hot. So I guess she can say she won. They said it was like boiling.
Yeah, she did. She did win the suit, but in that case, I was on your side.
Yeah, but maybe it wasn't you then. Somebody else was telling me like the coffee was way too hot. Like it wasn't just hot.
To me, you order hot coffee, you ought to know it's hot. That's common sense.
That's what I said too, but they said it was extremely too hot, so that's why she won.
Yeah, but yeah, she definitely won that suit. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish. Listen, I would have took some burns. I would have took some burns. These people think of the lawsuits before me.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Now you've got the stories, right?
No, not yet. I'm all on whatever. Not organized.
The next story is the iPhone. The next story is the iPhone 14 Pro. So you should have the honor of reading that. That's for sure.
Let me see. Hold on. I gotta go to your page. Hold on.
Yeah, we'll let you pull it up.
Mobile.
You are the Apple guy of Apple guys.
WordPress. Look at that. I remember your whole website. All right. The next story is which one?
The iPhone 14.
Oh, yeah. I'm not. Oh my God. This website.
Okay. You don't like Tom's?
No.
I like Tom's.
No, I do. I don't like none of these people. It's a whole bunch of ads. They just restate things. Look. Oh God, look at it.
Oh yeah, the stories are up. But this is wait. Let me share screen. Okay, screen is
it's
shared.
Like the story can be found like at 7 other websites, and it's the
that's
same
true.
thing.
And that's
he just rewords it.
Same with the story we just covered about the earbuds. It's all over the place. So go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yeah, they just reword it. I never heard the earbud story. Okay, so iPhone 14 launch date. Just don't we always know the date? Okay.
I didn't tell now.
Week just tip details on iPhone 14, AirPods Pro 2, Apple Watch 8, and more. Oh God, hold on. I gotta put on reader mode. Where's reader mode?
For a minute, I thought you were going to put on AirPods.
Does Chrome have a reader mode on the browser? Jeez, these ads.
Yes, just go up there and click a reader view. Yeah, that's what I have it in now.
See, this is it. Nope, that's not it. Mine might be a little different because I'm on the Mac. It don't matter. All right, Apple fans, pencil September 13th in your calendars. That's when the iPhone 14 event has been tipped to take place, and we can expect a whole lot more. According to iDrop News, run by somewhat reliable leakers, Leaks Apple Pro, who claims to have heard that Apple will host an event on the 37th week of the year, which is the week starting September 12th. As Apple tends to hold events on a Tuesday, this tidbit of information translates to an Apple event on September 13th, 2022. There's definitely some credibility to this rumor, as Apple tends to make iPhone-related announcements in September. The iPhone 13 range was revealed last year on September 24th. Much like the recent Apple news, we can expect the showcase to be a virtual one, complete with slick videos and on-stage demonstrations. iPhone 14 and 14 Pro.
Right.
At this September event, we'd expect to see the iPhone 14, which is tipped to be rather similar to the iPhone 13, but gain a new screen size in the form of the iPhone 14 Max.
Yeah, I think it's apparently called the Pro Max,
mini version. Okay. No, they said there's a big one and then there's a Pro big one or something.
Yeah, that's right. That's the next paragraph. Yeah.
Both phones are tipped to stick with the A15 Bionic chipset, but with Apple adopting a form of A16 nomenclature. The iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max are said to be the phones that bring in the biggest changes. The infamous display notch is expected to finally be killed in favor of a pill and punch hole-shaped cutouts with a front-facing camera and Face ID sensors. A fully new A16 Bionic chip is expected, as well as camera upgrades, most notably a 48-megapixel main sensor. AirPods Pro 2. Yet new iPhones aren't the only new devices expected to be shown off. Leaks Apple Pro claims the much-awaited stupid Siri picked up. The much-awaited AirPods Pro 2 will finally make their debut, bringing in a new design and featuring lossless audio and state-of-the-art active noise canceling technology. The AirPods Pro 2 will be the biggest innovation in wireless earbuds since the original AirPods were introduced in 2016, says Leaks Apple Pro. They support lossless audio thanks to a new codec, have stemless design, and Yeah, stemless design and state-of-the-art noise-canceling technology. So, wow, that's different. Apple's going to get rid of that little stem that hangs down.
Exactly.
Leaks Apple Pro suggested the earbuds could use a USB-C charging case, but other rumors say Apple will make the jump to USB-C AirPods and accessories in 2023. The leaker does claim to know the USB-C prototypes are in existence at Apple. The Apple Watch 8 is also expected to be shown off alongside a new Apple Watch SE and an Extreme Edition smartwatch. The latter is thought to be a rugged take on the Apple Watch, while the former two smartwatches are tipped to get internal updates and potentially flat edges with no major redesign.
Yeah, now the idea of an Extreme Edition kind of fascinates me.
Yeah, they probably just gonna. I think they're saying it's gonna be flat, right?
Yeah, but nobody's sure what's going to be flat and what isn't.
That's the case around it. Something crazy.
Yeah.
Finally, leaks Apple Pro claims to have heard that new MacBooks are coming this fall. Likely the MacBook Air 2022, the MacBook Pro 2022, and the Mac Mini 2. But the leaker doesn't expect these to be shown off at the September event. We reckon a separate fall event, likely in October, will serve as the new Mac showcase. Apple Fall event outlook. In short, it looks like the September iPhone launch event could be a busy one. We're hoping the changes Apple may bring to its core devices are enough to really impress, especially on the phone's front, as the next iPhone will need to go up against the Galaxy S22. The Galaxy S22 is old now, with the Galaxy S22 Ultra being one of the best Android phones around. Based on the rumors,
I would think it'd be the S23 at that point.
Yeah, I know. It's possible the AirPods Pro 2 could steal the spotlight from the i14, but we'll have to see. In the meantime, check out the iPhone 14 hub for news and announcements and stuff like that.
That's it. Now, let's get down to the meat of it. So what will you be getting out of the stuff we see here?
Really, seriously, I always say it, but I'm going to try not to buy nothing. I'm going to try not to buy nothing because my iPhone that I have now is fine.
Okay.
I don't really care about that pill design. Of course, if they show something crazy with the camera, I'll probably jump and buy it. But
yeah, I'm almost certainly going to go for I'm almost certainly going to get the 14 Pro Max simply because I skipped the 13 completely. And this time I want to go to the top level. And I'm not sure about the AirPods Pro 2, but more than likely I will get the watch. But I'm wearing my Apple Watch SE right now, and I'll probably get the new SE. But if the Extreme Edition fascinates me enough, and it's not too much money, I could see myself getting that. But I'll certainly get the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and I'll certainly get a watch. I'm not sure which one.
Now, wait, are you keeping, what's it called? Are you leaving a spot for the Pixel Watch?
Yes. The Pixel Watch, as soon as July 21st comes around, I'll be ordering that. So at that point, I'll probably be switching between 3 watches every day. One day will be the Pixel Watch, one day will be the Apple Watch, and one day will be the Samsung Watch, which is right now I switch between the Apple Watch and the Samsung 4 every day. So yeah, I'm very excited about the Pixel Watch. Brian, thank you so much as always, sir. Brian's always very faithful, dropping the little cash on me, and I appreciate it very, very much. And Annette is in. Hi, Annette. Sorry I missed you coming in while we were reading. We're glad to have you here as always. Eleanor says hi, and she says hi back to everybody. Okay, so we're going to go on. So you're really going to try not to get anything?
Yeah, I'm going to try.
Not even the new AirPods Pro?
Oh, well, yeah, but that's not a phone. That's a small purchase compared to the phone.
Well, yeah, but the guy is saying the AirPods Pro may overshadow.
No, but I mean in terms of price.
No, okay.
Yeah.
All right, going on to the next. Now, this story was kind of fascinating to me. This is the one about he wants a small phone. So this was on The Verge, And what's happening to my screen? Oh, okay. Commercials. All right. Pebble founder, it's your last chance to make a small Android phone happen. Eric Mijikovsky is thinking about small phones by Mitchell Clark. Let me go into Reader View. Okay. Eric Mijikovsky, who founded and helmed the Pebble smartwatch company and who's working on a chat app that will bring iMessage to Android. That's a fascinating idea right there. Has a new quest, getting anyone to make an Android phone you can actually use in one hand. He wants to, as he puts it in an interview with The Verge, unionize a community of small phone lovers to get sway with phone manufacturers and suppliers. I think his numbers are all wrong, but we'll see. To do that, he's built a site, smallandroidphone.com, that explains his dream phone. Basically, he wants a flagship that's the size and shape of the iPhone mini, but running stock Android. The site argues that small phones are good, actually, and it asks like-minded people to essentially sign a petition. Mijikovsky says he's looking for 50,000 or more people to help prove to manufacturers it'll be worth their time and money to make an Android flagship with a sub-6-inch screen design. Within 12 hours of the site being up, it passed over 6,000 signatures. By Wednesday, the number was over 10,000. So first of all, I think 50,000 people isn't enough to make any manufacturer spend the kind of money it would take to do that. That's number one. And from 12 hours from the time it was up, he had 6,000 signatures. And a few days later, he only had 10,000. I'm guessing he's not even going to reach 50,000. That's my best guess. After talking to him, I'm not entirely convinced that he has a surefire plan for turning signatures into a real product. Convincing companies to invest in a niche phone instead of trying to make the next big thing is tough, though not impossible. Even if you prove that audience is relatively sizable and willing to pay. However, I came away from my conversation with Mijikovsky absolutely sure that he's an ardent fan of small phones. Well, yeah, getting out the good word on why they should make a comeback. I got the idea because I was watching the Pixel 7 announcement and was like, I'm not going to use curse words. They're just making another gigantic phone, and that really pissed me off, Mijikovsky said. That's almost exactly how I felt when I heard the smallest phone in the Pixel 6 lineup now has a 6.4-inch screen, and he's right about that. Even the small phones for the Pixels are big. At first blush, it seems unrealistic that such a small number of people could convince a company like Google or Samsung to invest in this phone. I agree. And Mijikovsky tells me that his 50,000 signature goal is based on some very, very back-of-the-napkin math. I just don't think that's enough people. If you look at the upfront cost in a very rough manner, it's like $10 million to get your first phone made. And then the other ones cost whatever the cost components are. His goal today is simply to suggest to anybody who'd consider making a compact Android phone that there's a market there, one that could be profitable. It's hard to make money in phones, let alone make money in the world's smallest segment. So my pitch is charge more. We're all here yelling that we want this. We should be willing to pay a little bit more. 50,000 people? I don't think so. If 50,000 people would actually buy the phone based on the $700 to $800 price he suggests on his website, a company could stand to make tens of millions in profit off his estimated $10 million investment. Again, very back of the napkin. At that price point, though, I don't think his dream phone would be a hard sell to enthusiasts. He says he's looking for a phone that looks as close as possible to the iPhone mini and that has 5.4-ish 1080p OLED display. 60 hertz is okay. Yeah, I don't think people are going to want 60 hertz. I think they want 90 or 120. Cameras must be as good as Pixel 5, must have great low light performance, stock Android OS, Snapdragon 8 or other flagship processor equivalent, 5G world phone, hole punch front camera, 2 rear cameras, regular and wide angle, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 to 256 gigabytes of storage, 4-hour screen on time, unlockable bootloader, and NFC. He's asking for a lot for just if he just gets 50,000 people, which I don't think he's going to get, but we'll see. For what it's worth, I am absolutely clicking the button on his site to say that I'd be interested in buying this, especially if I had one of two of the features in his nice to have list, which are rugged enough not to need a case. Now you're asking for a lot again. IP68 water resistance, fingerprint sensor on power button, hardware mute switch, wireless charging, eSIM. However, even with a ton of signatures, and I'm not entirely convinced 50,000 people count as a ton, no, they certainly don't. It's still a very tough pitch to a company like Samsung, Google, or even a more boutique manufacturer. Mijakovsky admits he's not sure what size company would be best to take on this project, but he's willing to hear anyone out at this point. Making phones isn't easy in the best of times, and the history of smartphones is littered with well-meaning companies like Red, Nextbit, Essential, which all tried to make phones to serve some niche audience and all failed in some way. That's very true. Making matters worse, we're not in the best of times. Chips are hard for anyone to get their hands on, and supply chains are a mess. Who in their right mind would want to go through the hassle of building a niche phone when the people clamoring for them may decide to settle for a big phone in the meantime? I agree 100%. Even for established companies, the opportunity cost of putting scarce chips and components into even a small batch of reasonably sized phones could be huge. No product manager wants to risk putting scarce hardware into small phones that might not sell instead of having them go into the big cheap phones that the public seems to love. I agree 100%. Mijakovsky thinks he has a solution that would deal with the riskiness of investing in a niche project and the difficulty of buying chips. One of the things that I would do is I would pre-sell these ahead of time. I don't think people are going to give you their money up front. I have somewhat of a Kickstarter history. Well, that's true. And my premise is the people who want a small phone know they want a small phone. If you put it in front of them, say, okay, we're going to build a small phone. Do you want one? I would put money at it if you're trustworthy and knowledgeable and you knew, okay. I don't think people are going to put upfront money for that kind of thing. Obviously, though, having money in hand doesn't guarantee you'll be able to make these things work. It can be hard to know who's trustworthy, I agree. And even companies with previous success can take way longer than expected to actually ship a product. Yeah, we have lots of examples of that. That's not to say that it's never worked before. You can buy the Unihertz Jelly 2 if you want a really small phone, but it's not as simple as pre-orders equal profit. I agree 100%. As for getting people to invest, Mijakovsky doesn't think it would be particularly difficult since no one else is going to make a small phone. I have to agree. I know myself enough to know that I'd do almost anything for a compact and comfortable device. Will's back. Okay.
Yo, George, my internet is being Comcast.
Yeah, I noticed.
I'm on my phone. My internet is
you know how I solved mine? Every week for the last 3 weeks, I use my phone as a hotspot. So I'm getting my signal from T-Mobile, not from Comcast, and it seems to work just fine. So that's what I'm doing all the time. Ted is in here too.
It's terrible.
Yo, Ted, come on in if you want to come in. Okay, so anyway, I don't need to read the rest. So the guy who made Pebble, who's in charge of Pebble, he wants a small phone. And I gather he's a real diehard small phone lover. But I just don't think any of this is going to work. And I don't think any company is going to go to the expense of making a small phone if it's only 50,000 people, which I don't think he's even going to get that many at this point. That's just my guess. Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting story. It does go on to say, I'm not reading it all, but they question why he doesn't make it himself, but he doesn't want to go into it. He's not ruling it out completely, but he wants an established company to make it.
Yeah, because who's gonna buy a phone from? You know what I mean? It's hard enough for Google to get into smartphones. How much?
Exactly. I agree 100%. I just don't think it's very logical. Anyway, Brian says my hotspot has enough up. Yeah, but ever since I started using, I'm using my right now. I'm using my Moto Edge Plus, and the phone speeds are perfect, and I haven't had any of the issues that you guys know I would have occasionally with Comcast. So I'm just bypassing Comcast whenever I live stream. Oh, and I forgot to mention today is National Live Stream Day. So I am live streaming on the right day, and I didn't find that out until I got home today. So I'm right where I need to be for National Live Stream Day. All right. So are you going to read it, the next story, or
on my phone? Hold on, let me see. What's the next one?
The Android 13 beta.
All right, let me go find it.
Okay, I just thought this was a cool story because
the Braille support.
The Braille support, yes. And this again is on The Verge.
All right. Android 13 will test out-of-the-box support for most Braille displays. The beta will be available in the coming weeks. In the coming weeks, Google will begin beta testing a feature for Android 13 that makes it easier for users of Braille displays to get up and running. Google announced.
Wait! I forgot to share the screen. My bad. You don't have to start over again. No, you didn't get for it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm in the beginning. Google announced in a blog post on Thursday that the next Android 13 beta will include out-of-the-box support for Braille displays. Braille displays are used to create pin patterns to touch read on screen text and also type in Braille. The display allows people with deaf blindness. What?
I never heard of deaf blindness, but
I don't know. That's, I guess, deaf. I never heard of it as like one word like that. Deaf blindness to use smartphones, and people who are blind to silently use mobile phones without screen readers or voice commands. Braille display support was already available on Android with Google Screen Reader TalkBack, but now you won't have to install another app first to access the feature. Braille display users will continue to access the same functionality, like navigating the screen with the display's buttons, making a phone call, writing an email, or sending a text message. In addition, Google is also creating new shortcuts to make using Braille displays easier on Android with TalkBack. The new shortcuts include what? The new shortcuts will enable the new shortcuts.
He got that wrong.
Yeah, the new shortcuts will enable easier scrolling by moving to the next character, word, or line, editing documents by jumping directly to the end, or trying to select, copy, and paste text. If you want to sign up for the Android 13 beta, you can do so through Google's website or through the link here.
Yeah, so I included that story. I just thought if Android 13, when it comes out to the public, is going to come with Braille capability, I think that is awesome. So I just thought it was a very cool story.
Yeah.
I've got new comments here. Missy just said, woohoo. I think that's because of the Braille. And Brian said, I find the T-Mobile hot upload is weak. No, I find mine just fine. When I run a speed test against what I'm getting from Comcast, sometimes they're about the same, or the T-Mobile signal beats it. So I'm good. Like I said, I've been using it for 3 weeks straight, and I haven't had 1 ounce of any technical issue as far as any freezing up or anything like that. So I'm very happy with it. So I will just continue on that way. So let me slide down to the next story. Oh, and this next story is, you can see my headline. Oh, let me share. My headline says, Boeing Starliner to give SpaceX Dragon some competition. And this is on Wired. And when I picked the story, I did not realize that it was going up last night. And it's already gotten to the space station. And It went to dock with the space station. It had a failure on 2 of its, I think it was 14 jets or whatever it is. But they went to the backups and they were able to dock at the space station. So tonight at 7 o'clock, there's supposed to be more news, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. But obviously, SpaceX is getting some competition. So this one is on Wired. Let me go to read a view. Okay. The first passenger to fly aboard Boeing Starliner will be Rosie the Rocketeer, a mannequin set to blast off to the International Space Station aboard the capsule on Thursday evening. And she's there right now. If she makes the trip safely, NASA astronauts will be cleared for future flights on the new spacecraft. A successful uncrewed demonstration will make Boeing the second private company to allow to ferry NASA crews to the ISS, and will make Starliner a fully fledged competitor to SpaceX's Dragon crew capsule. We're excited to fly. Starliner is a great vehicle. Really, the only way to get the final piece of data you need to fly crew is to go fly in the environment and dock to the ISS, which they have done as of yesterday. Steve Stitch, manager of NASA's Commercial Crew Program, at a press conference earlier this month. And they failed a couple of years ago, but they succeeded last night. Boeing Starliner is scheduled to launch at 6:54 p.m., which it did, atop a United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket from Cape Canaveral in Florida. In addition to Rosie, it will bring more than 400 pounds of food, clothes, and sleeping bags. So far, the weather looks good. Yeah, well, the weather was good, and they did get up, and it is at the space station right now. And let's see. Oh, Renz, thank you so very, very much. From work, Renz always manages to send me some money, which is very, very much appreciated. And he says he's busy already. When the space shuttle program ended in 2011, NASA astronauts lost their regular ride to the ISS. Instead, they launched on Russian Soyuz spacecraft, while NASA's Commercial Crew Program collaborated with private business partners to develop a new generation of spacecraft for transporting astronauts and cargo. In May 2020, 2 NASA shuttle veterans became the first to ride SpaceX's Dragon capsule to the International Space Station, and 2 months later to return safely home. Since then, SpaceX has regularly carried astronauts to the station. Northrop Grumman and Sierra Space also have contracts with NASA for uncrewed cargo resupply missions. Earlier this year, the company Axiom became the first to send an all-private group of space tourists to the ISS. That's true. They made a big deal about that. Boeing's new launch, called the Orbital Flight Test 2, isn't the first attempt at an uncrewed demonstration of Starliner. The OFT-1 mission in December 2019 literally fell short when software glitches caused the capsule to burn through the propellant after launch. So they have made very good progress. It went into orbit about 155 miles off the ground, but it never reached the International Space Station, which orbits much higher up. Somehow it thinks I'm talking to it. Boeing addressed that issue and planned another try last August, but during pre-launch preparations, engineers discovered problems with the oxidizer valves in Starliner's propulsion system. The launch was scrubbed. Now, those problems have been fixed, and there are no outstanding issues. So, if all goes well, all did go well. Let's see. If all goes well in this week's test mission, Boeing's first crewed flight carrying 2 or 3 NASA astronauts could take off later this year. That's a big deal. We want to make sure this is a vehicle we can fly on the next time, said Catherine Luders, Associate Administrator of NASA's Space Operations Mission Directorate, at the agency's media briefing on Wednesday. We need to make sure there isn't anything we need to update or fix on this spacecraft. That will include checking that Rosie, the dummy astronaut, made it back in one piece, and that and conducting other tests to make sure real people can fly aboard the spacecraft. Rosie doesn't breathe, but we want the spacecraft to get back so we can start testing the environmental control system. NASA will make decisions about the launch date and crew complement this summer, Lutter said. So now I know since they're already up at the space station, they're supposed to stay there for a week and then come back. So if it comes back with the dummy coming back safely, I guess we're going to see some other people go up. Okay, Will is back. Now we can see.
Hey, what's up, George? What's up, George?
So, okay, from NASA's perspective, having contract with Boeing as well as SpaceX offers advantages, including reducing reliance on cooperation from Russia's space agency, one of the operators of the ISS and provider of Soyuz flights. Redundancy is a high priority, especially with what's going on with Russia and all the uncertainties in geopolitics. Yeah, that makes sense. The more options we have of getting to space with or without the crew, the better. And competition could also end up giving cost saving and innovation. That's very true, said Matthew Weinzierl. Wow, that's a tough one. An economist at Harvard Business School who researches the commercialization of the space sector. SpaceX's reusable space capsules and rockets have saved NASA money, yeah, and combined with Boeing, the commercial crew program could save the agency billions of dollars. That's a good idea. That's because NASA's grand plans from low Earth orbit to interstellar space cost more than its total budget. So the agency chose to outsource the transportation while it focuses more on the space exploration side of things. Good idea, I think. But working with private companies can come with challenges. For example, a 2018 audit of NASA's Space Launch System, the mega rocket that will carry the Artemis missions to the moon, held Boeing partly responsible for its high cost and delay. Well, Boeing is a company that's used to these big contracts that take forever. SpaceX has faced public criticism over environmental issues like its plans for Boa Chica launch facility expansion and the Starlink satellite constellation interference with the night sky. That I hadn't heard about. But these two companies and NASA's commercial crew program make an interesting pair. The older established Boeing and the young SpaceX. Boeing, for all the criticism they get about being one of those big, sometimes not so fast-moving contractors, has been trying from the beginning of these commercial programs to have an agile attitude toward responding to the competition. You see the evolution of the scrappy startups and the big legacy players as the industry continues to mature, that's for sure. Lockheed Martin, which is not a program member, has been adapting similarly. Weinzierl, I guess that's the best I can pronounce, argues, but by collaborating with other companies on commercial space station concepts that NASA is investing in for the post-ISS era. United Launch Alliance, the maker of the rocket that is boosting the Starliner capsule, is a joint venture of Boeing and Lockheed. Okay. Boeing's future plans for Starliner involve launching it atop ULA's new, less expensive, more powerful Vulcan Centaur rocket after the company retires the Atlas V. But those plans hinge on Starliner acing its demo flight, which it has so far. We're really looking forward to the spacecraft coming home. There's a bit of work ahead of us before we get the crewed flight, but we're chomping at the bit. So far they're successful. It is at the station. It has docked. So I would think by next week, they'll know if they're good to go. So good for them. I think they're doing a good job. And I think we might have lost. Will, are you there? Or can you hear me?
I'm still here, George.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Just type.
Okay. Let's see.
That's Mike's type of thing. That space.
Exactly. Absolutely. He'd be real excited about this. I'm sure he is. And Brian is asking, are you jumping in, Ted? Yeah, Ted. You have the link. So whenever you're ready to come in, come on in. All right. Going down to the next story. I guess I should continue to share the screen anyway. All right. Going down to the next story. Okay. This is my last story. Do you want to read this story about the?
Yeah, I got it. Yep.
Okay.
So Samsung will charge $500 to put your face on its fridge.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Well,
people spend money on.
Wait a minute. I got to get rid of this commercial. Let me go into Reader View. There we go. If you look at my title, I said narcissistic. Samsung will put your picture on your bespoke fridge. Only $500. So go ahead, Will.
Crazy. Samsung is adding a new and extremely exploitable customization option to its line of bespoke refrigerators. Sling the company $500 and you can have any photo or image you like printed on the unit's double doors. You could choose a favorite piece of artwork, a child's doodles, or just your own face on your fridge for no good reason at all. The option is launching for buyers sometime later this year. If you need to know the exact minute it goes live, you can sign up here for alerts. And if you already own a bespoke fridge, you can order the door panels separately and swap them in. The cost is $250 a panel, and Samsung says they'll take about 8 weeks to print and ship. Wow, that's pretty cool though. You see how they have the thing switching?
Yeah, exactly.
You see how you have like the one looks like what's it called? A wallpaper. The beach and all that.
Yeah. And the other one kind of looks like a gigantic phone, really.
Yeah. That's crazy. The bespoke line of refrigerators is very much marketed by Samsung for its modularity and customization. Previously, though, you could only choose from a limited selection of colors and a few prints. In the UK, for example, you can buy units emblazoned with the Union Jack in time for Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee. Giving customers the option to add any image they like will almost certainly lead to some very, very ugly refrigerators sitting in people's kitchens. But I suspect that is part of the feature's charm. Samsung tells us it'll also be moderating the images requested by customers with a combination of automated filters and human review. They'll be looking for copyright violations and explicit imagery, but other than that, go wild. Wow.
So I just think if your ego needs to have your face on your refrigerator, we'll just give Samsung $500 and you can do that. So I don't even know what a bespoke refrigerator costs. Do you?
I have no idea.
Let me see if I can. Let me type it in. See if I. FRID. 2,000. Yeah, it's over $2,000. Looks like you can get one at Best Buy for $3,000. Or okay, I can see you can get one at Samsung for $2,598. So you're either going to spend $2,600 or $3,000 on one of these refrigerators. So I guess if you can afford that for a refrigerator, you can afford to give them $500 for a picture. Yeah. Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's
so anyway, it
doesn't do nothing but that, right?
For people who want to spend that kind of money, go for it. So, Brian, it looks like Ted is not jumping in. I'm not even sure if he's still watching, but at least he dropped in. All right, we are down to the end, and I know you want to go. Now, you working tomorrow, Will?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Saturday, Sunday, 16 hours.
Now, was last weekend your first weekend?
Yeah.
So how'd it go?
It was busy, but it wasn't that bad.
Okay.
I just had 5 days off, but I still don't want to go back to work.
Okay, but generally worth everything you went through to get there, yes?
I mean, yeah. I make all my money in 2 days a week, so
exactly.
So
and Ted says he can't jump in, so he did say hi to Missy. All right, so I'm on to my last thing. I'm going to share screen. And of course, what we tell you about every week, just in case somebody's new and doesn't know about it, and anybody who's watching that doesn't know about glowing rectangles. Let me get rid of my stuff that's covering the screen. Okay. Yeah, got the screen shared. Okay. So if you want to get some exposure for your video, for your blog, or anybody else's video or blog, you can place any video or blog link you want here. This is on reddit.com/r/glowing rectangles. It was started by some gadget guy, and he wanted to have a place for people to get some more exposure. This is a place you can get more exposure. So if you go to reddit.com/r/glowing rectangles, every day there are new stories and people vote on the stories. And if you click on top, you'll see what got the most votes today. Now today, a story by Juan, and it's not always Juan who gets the most votes, but he did today. Your forward camera is not using the telephoto lens to take macro shots. And that's by Juan, some gadget guy. He's gotten 7 upvotes. Now you can downvote. I've never seen anybody downvote, but you can. So that was the top voted story today. Second thing here is always an ad. And then also got 7 votes today. The OWC Travel Dock-E, my new favorite USB Type-C dock for Chromebooks. And that was posted by, I don't know who. Anyway, that's the second story on there. That got the same amount of votes. And then this one got 3 votes, and that was by TK Bay. I know him. He and Juan have a weekly broadcast that's pretty awesome to watch. Very knowledgeable. 2 very, very knowledgeable guys and nice guys. Because Juan has loaned me a phone for a few weeks just out of the clear blue without me asking. And TK, I've met at a couple.
You gave it back, right, George?
Yes, I did give it back, unlike some other people we know, yes.
Okay, just making sure you gave it back.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, he let me have it for about a month, and I was blown away, you know. Anyway, so just wanted to show you guys glowing rectangles. You want to get yourself some exposure, get somebody some exposure. That's the place to post it. So that's it for this week. And once again, Will came in and made the show great, which I appreciate very, very much.
Oh, man.
And I'm hoping you can, give us some kind of time every week. Will, it's awesome kind of having you back.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah, and I'm loving it, and I'm sure everybody else is too. So, folks, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for everybody. Oh, wait, I got another comment. Oh, Brian said you survived, Will. Impressive.
Yeah, I survived. I got to survive this weekend too. We'll see.
Exactly. Miss E says great stream. Thank you, Miss E. Brian says have a great weekend. Come on. Okay. And Annette says, well done. Thanks. Thank you, Annette. Thanks for being here. We appreciate all of you very, very much. And thanks to Renz and Brian for the super chats. And you guys are very, very kind, and it will go to a great cause as far as tech. So I hope everybody has a very blessed weekend, and we will see you next week. And I'm clicking the end now.